enough for you throwing.
You should be good.
Just get, aren't they usually like taller?
You should update.
How far can
Got it.
Just about your control, 2 kilometers.
There we go.
Yeah, we could have kids with like a little kid. We can't have 3, 5, 10 kids starting line. That's not gonna look good.
With a strong fundamental base, you know, yeah, one. They bring in teams?
Yeah, I got him to like 119. That was
Yeah,
my
18,
PR.
19, yeah.
That was my PR.
Okay, all right, it is 7 o'clock. We'll call the regular 11/26 Board of Education meeting to order. This meeting is being held in compliance with the Nebraska Open Meetings Act, copy which is on the wall right there. And we'll go ahead and take a roll.
Jason Art.
Here.
Cassie Plessner.
Here.
Chase Cradaville.
Here.
Brian Locker.
Here.
Steve Slykeis. Henry Wilmot.
Here.
All right. Everybody's here. All right, we'll do the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, agenda item 1.4, approval of regular meeting agenda. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the regular meeting agenda as presented.
Second.
Thank you, Cass and Jason, have been moved to second. Is there any further discussion? Let's vote.
Chase Cradaville.
Yes.
Brian Locker.
Yes.
Steve Slykeis.
Yes.
Shannon Wilmot.
Yes.
Jason Art.
Yes.
Cassie Plessner.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Welcome to guests in public forum. With that, is there anybody, first we'll do, is there anybody here outside of the PE teachers that would like to speak to the board about any other item? Okay, for the government students, we're gonna have you do just a quick introduction, your name and what your plans are here pretty soon, after graduation. Whoever would like to go first.
Oliver Ladahoff, and I have an internship at an engineering company that starts May 20th. And then after the internship, I will go to school and get my land surveying certificate. And yeah,
Where are you going to school at?
Metro.
Okay, got it.
I'm Alexis Packett, and I'm just moving out and going into the workforce.
Okay.
after high school.
Got it.
My name is Jenna Rolzon. I'm planning to work and do my gen eds at Metro while I work, and then hopefully go to UNO.
Thank you.
I'm Ron. I'm going to UNL for nursing.
Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. With that, we will go to agenda item 3, the consent agenda. You see the minutes of the previous board meeting there, as well as the financials. Dr. Mason and I went over. For hot lunch, you see 2 transfers just because of the weird timing over a month ago on one of those. So that's why you see basically 2 times the normal on there. Jen, a couple questions. When we went through this, we weren't sure. Bus 29, the turbo, all those repairs on it.
That was just the little pieces and parts that needed the brackets and those types of things.
Okay,
So
outside of what we talked
Yes,
about
yes.
with the
that he
turbocharger last
Wasn't
month.
aware that he needed to mount it and do all those.
Got it. Okay, got it. Okay.
Was the acres the lawnmower?
That's do we do that every year, Dr. Lewis?
Every year or every other year.
We-
But it's a recurring.
Does it rotate between the two? Because we have 2.
I believe it does, yeah, we've got 2 mowers.
He goes a couple of years and then trades it when we have that one.
Yeah, so we do it, I mean, it's a 15 or $60,000 mower, and we trade in like this, so we're in a new one for a relatively reasonable price. They give us a good deal on the trade-in, and the budget line we have for that was $7,500, so we're still under a budget line.
You'll see a tent frame on there from BSN Sports. The wind during track season sometimes can ruin those tents.
Well, it did this year.
I'll leave it at that.
Picked it up and blew it away. Not all the way away, just into something.
And then some tutor boards for you guys' class, I'm assuming.
Yeah, we got some more for the elementary, so that was kind of nice.
Got it. Couple other bus and transportation things, you'll see, bus 2019. You'll see the cleaning there, on there, and that'll be probably a fluid situation for the next couple months.
We probably won't use them during the summer at all. So May will probably be the last bill that we get, and then the summer, Lawrence is confident that the staff he has can handle the summer things that we are doing, and there's cleaning inside of the classrooms, and then we'll look at bids and contracts for the fall, and see if we can get a better deal than that. But they've been great to work with, so it's nice. They've been able to pivot on a moment's notice and send us more people who need it.
That sheriff's deputy, was a 2-year?
Actually, that is a 1 year, and we did not, get the bill from them last year. So, and I went back in our records, I don't bill in the files anywhere in our finance system, did not show that we had paid them last year, so.
Not the best at sending us.
They're getting better though. So anyway, yeah, it's an annual charge that we knew was coming, we just did not get the bill for it until we got them both at the same time. Because when they were producing this year's bill, they also couldn't find a record that we had done last year, and they were double checked.
You see a couple leaks for roof repair, I guess for at least half the board. That will come during your tenure at some point, that we'll have to talk about a new roof on parts of the school at some point. That would be items, and then you'll see in hand payables, FBLA items related to nationals, that continues to be on the due to the success of that program. And we actually had a little more than expected. Is that additional student foundation, Mr. Pinkston? Where are you looking?
It's in hand payables, but, so the registration is for the amount, I mean, we planned, it had been at some point in time, so we planned for not that many. It's just that it has to get paid right now, or else they can't hold the rooms for you, and then they fundraise and do all of that, so.
The ones that just said.
What was
The
the second
additional
one?
student was just a kid
Oh, I'm
was
sorry.
able to qualify after the fact, after like the first big bunch of kids.
Got it.
So
I thought you were asking
it was
why we're
just another
paying for
kid
it
who
now.
had.
Oh, no, I was curious why the second
100,
line.
195.
487.
One is the room combination,
Yeah,
and
that
one
was
is the
the-
registration for the student.
Got it, okay.
I only had one question when it comes to, we had talked about the paint, like pricing for painting the lines on the baseball field, track, whatever fields need to be painted. I know we had previously talked about the difference between Sherwin-Williams and Menards and the difference, there's a big difference in price on that. Is that something that's being checked on pricing, or is that just what we're using now in Sherwin-Williams?
Lawrence and I had talked, specifically about using Menards. I don't know that he ordered the paint though. I'm not sure. I'll have to go back and look at that.
Okay.
Because the bill had, like the athletics names on it, so
Mhm.
I don't know.
Just so we can, we
Those
can get the
things,
same
yes.
thing
Yeah,
in a
those
cheaper
things-
place.
Yeah, those things, get ordered when we need them,
Yeah,
and if it's not always ordered by the same person.
yeah. Notes are cool. Perfect. Okay, that was the only question I had. Everything else looked good.
Yep, check register again, you'll see Amazon related things, pretty typical. On the activity balances, you'll see a big jump in the depths in our athletics. You'll see a big jump on cheerleading, all those individuals for the team ordered everything they need, so they'll go through the summer fundraising to offset that. And then student vending is in the positive now for the negative.
Way to go.
It's not looking back.
It's on, there's no looking back now.
The machine has paid for itself.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Death taxes and teenager deed.
There you go.
Other than that, In the general fund, the receipts versus last year this time, talk about a couple of things. Property taxes are down about 9% as compared, so we'll see going through May what that looks like. It's usually a big month. So we'll monitor that. And then for that additional the last sheet of the attachment, page 8, a little bit about the elementary side. Dr. Morgan, you weren't here when Dr. Lewis and I, that was the one that kind of stood out. The current year compared to prior year, we're up about 7% in expenditures. And I know we talked about a couple things, Dr. Lewis reminded me.
Well, we did talk about the expenditures out of the transportation budget, so that took
Yep.
up some of that. We also have encumbrances in there for purchasing of our Twig signs, and that was all an elementary expense. So that science curriculum is in there as an encumbrance, is probably showing up in that. And that was 90,000 that we just put in there, as we haven't paid it yet, but it shows up. But I will point out that we are 75% through the year. I know we have a lot of ordering yet, but budget is holding strong in general. We're in a pretty good spot, even though it's a little bit higher out of expenses that we were last year. We also had a few more subs to pay this year. We had some long-term subs and things like that, 3 or 4 of them on the elementary side of the front half of the year. So this expenses were kind of front loaded. So we budgeted a line item for subs and we used a lot of it before Christmas. So.
Any other questions? And no resignations, hires, or reassignments, there's an action item there. Other than that, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Moving second, thank you, Steve. Is there any further discussion? Let's vote.
Brian Locker,
Yes.
Steve Slagheis,
Yes.
Shannon Wilmot, Jason Art,
Yes.
Cassie Plessner.
Yes.
All right, agenda item 4, curriculum and physical education on the elementary and secondary side. All right, over to the physical education team. I know we know 2 of you, but we haven't seen one of the faces since we left. So if you wouldn't mind, why don't we just do a quick introduction just for the board, since we only see kind of a few years, you guys.
Amazing. I do the strength and speed program in the weight room, and that's where most of my classes are.
I'm Jake Polk. I was here at the last one. I was right in the first year, I think, so it's my second time around. Jake Eckhart, been here multiple times.
All right, I'll turn it over to you, gentlemen.
Well, I'll get started on my side of things. Kind of broke down what we want the students to learn as far as my classes go, starting with the freshman phys ed class. That's kind of what we use as an introduction to the strength and speed training side of physical education. Up till that point, it had more traditional game-based, skill-based lessons in elementary. So kind of open their eyes to that side of things, teaching them the basic fundamentals of some of that training that we want to do as they progress into the higher level classes. And if they decide that that's not the route that they care to go at that sophomore level, that they can start choosing if they want to go more the game skill-based PE classes, or if they want to continue down the path of the weight room training side classes. So that's what I hope to get out of those freshman classes, is kind of instill that basic understanding, and then see if we can spark an interest, or maybe have them see that exposed to it and they don't care for it. They can go a different route there next year, but they don't have to take it.
I teach a little bit of elementary, then I co-teach junior high with Coach Hazing, and then I have high school lifetime activities, and then also freshman health. So I have all second grade, which are some days a breath of fresh air, depending on how the junior high school are doing. and all of sixth grade, which has been really fun. And I know Coach Hay will probably get into maybe hear a little bit about testing and using lasers. The sixth graders have been using those recently to prepare them for that junior high testing that we do. So they get really excited about that now. With the junior high schedule, I do health for the boys and girls. They separate boys separate for health and junior high, and when I have girls, Coach Hazing has boys, and vice versa. They just have health once a week, and then on the other days, they're usually a game day for one and weights class for the other, and then we're all together for one day each week. Lifetime activities. It's a class that, like Coach Hazing mentioned, is more game, fun. I don't know if fun's the right word, but it's less maybe strenuous than a weights class might be. We walk down to the park and do horseshoes or to the disc golf at the softball complex, and do maybe less conventional sports, but things they might do for the rest of their life. We have a unit on golf where we try not to tear up too much grass and keep them engaged.
Aeration is fine.
Yeah, keep kids engaged and having fun and build relationships and show them that leisure activities can be just as engaging and also have a little bit of fitness involved too. I get the pleasure of introducing kids the first time ever, which is good and bad. There's that kindergarten group, first grade, especially just learning how to class, cooperate with others, how to play various games and have a good attitude, sportsmanship through it. So it's a good learning curve for them. Sometimes challenging at times with my own daughter even during that time frame, but so kindergarten through second grade, we try to work on those big gross motor skills. Like I said, just learning how to move our bodies, how to control our feet, that they can do what our body's telling them to do, hopefully, through different games, exercise, sometimes independent, work on throwing or just on kicking or whatever, and then hopefully use it at some point throughout the year also. And then we go into the third through sixth grade, and we do a little bit more sport specific through still motor skills, and it's never like a full-on, we're not playing a full-on basketball game. They're always modified versions of using a basketball, and still have different games doing that though. So different activities, and hopefully they hit interest levels against something they enjoy doing, and hopefully they can find some enjoy doing some physical fitness, physical activity, so they can stick with it as you go. We test them in third through sixth grade. We use that fitness gram program that checks seven different areas now we got, which is really good, like upper strength, abdominal strength, hamstring flexibility, back flexibility. A new one they just put out, I think it was last year, was grip strength. We started doing that one. And vertical jump, which I thought was really cool. So we were able to help get the vertical jump mat, which made it so we could actually do it in elementary class. Otherwise, we're trying to line a kid up on the old, get their height, touch, that way we don't have time for that. So the vertical jump mat's been awesome. Then they kind of see their growth now from third grade till they're senior, which was really cool. So that's been nice on there.
Speaking of seniors, after that freshman year class, I have two, we kind of talked about this, I think the last time we were all here, but I'm going to try to separate two classes for the strength training side of things, because it seemed like there was a little gap between the lifetime sports class that Coach Bolt teaches and then the advanced strength class geared towards varsity athletes training for their sports. There was kind of a middle ground that seemed like there was a void, that some kids that wanted to be introduced to personal fitness, strength training, but weren't a varsity athlete, didn't want to do necessarily all of the assessment tests that we put up on our record board, do all the really high level stuff. Well, we were able to work with the administration and get two class descriptions made. So now we have an advanced strength and speed training class that's more geared for those varsity athletes that are trying to train for their sports. And we have a fundamental resistance training class that is geared down. There's not as much of the assessments and agility training, and it's more of a fundamental knowledge. If they wanted to get a membership to a gym somewhere, they'd feel confident that they could go in there and perform some exercise. So that's been a nice addition to our array of classes that we have. As far as testing, like Coach Polk mentioned, we do introduce the kids to that in the junior high. It's a great way to get some baselines to see if what we're doing is beneficial for them. We'll continue that into the high school classes. So the main ones we do for that are their 10-yard dash, flying 10, vertical, as Coach mentioned, broad jump, and their pro agility. So we're trying to hit on aspects of strength, speed, and agility, and all of those. Those are our three main goals in those strength classes. So that's a good data set to see if we're hitting those goals, those assessments. And we've been tracking those really diligently, making different milestones that kids can hit, whether that's tracking their top speed. That's been a big emphasis of ours since this winter. We know that there was a slight lag between the strength gains we were seeing and the top speed performance that we wanted. So made some adjustments to our programming, made that an emphasis, and communicated that to the kids, and they took it and ran with it. And we're proud of how well they did with that. We have, I think, 5 girls running over 17 miles an hour, 6 boys over 20. We just had our first boy hit 21, which is some pretty big milestones for them. So that's been nice. Track that, and then they can have some pride when they hit that. We have speed limit signs over the weight room that they can sign if they hit those milestones. That was a pretty interesting conversation with the company that makes it for the county, asking for an 18-mile-an-hour sign, but they're generous enough and give us a discount because they like the idea. So we got some of those over the weight room, and wristbands for each one of those miles per hour if they hit, and they start walking around with those. That's the motivation $1.10 can buy you. When a little piece of silicone makes them just work their butts off to try to get one. Try to keep all the assessments we do relative to them, because I hate to have something we test out once a year and then kind of forget about it and put it to the wayside. And then if you don't care about it, I don't think you should be testing it. So we have the board and those speed limit signs, just ways to keep stuff relevant and in front of them so they know what we're working towards.
I think testing multiple times a year too, they can see their progress, or if they have regressed and if they need to work on something else. With the fitness grand, we do that 3 times a year. We do it in the fall, we do it in the winter, and then we finish it up already here in spring. Asking, what did I get last time? And we can look back and tell them, and they can set that goal. And Coach Hazing with that junior high school testing does a great job of tracking each individual kid in spreadsheets, and letting them know, here's what you did in the fall. And most of the time they're blowing away what they did previously. So that continuous testing, I think, is super important in PE classes.
Yeah, everything else to add. You guys sent a lot of stuff in.
Yeah, we're looking at.
I give you examples of some like assessments we do in the elementary down below, and that part is on there. For either the fitness green or for what I send home for the K2 kids, so that parents can get one up a year where they're at with those skills too.
I think one thing Coach Polk mentioned that we started looking into, and I think is a really big asset to us being a K-12 building, is the vertical integration between the stuff that we want to see in the junior high and the high school level. There's a lot of schools our size that don't get the advantage of being in the same building as their elementary counterparts. So that's something we started kind of going with this spring, like Coach mentioned, getting the laser timing systems up for the 5th and 6th graders. They go nuts for those. I have them set up for my classes anyway, so we just leave them up or we get them set up specifically for that. Kids run through there, get their flying pins, and they can see what their top mile per hour is. A lot of them have older siblings. That starts trash talking, which is always great when it comes to competition and getting them fired up. And we'll post the top speeds for the boys and girls for 5th and 6th grade. And then just as important, I think, is we'll also post who's seen the biggest improvements week. Because I'll tell the kids, like, if we were posting top flying 10 times in my high school, I would never be found on the top 5. But if I work my butt off, you might see me every week on the most improved list. So whether they are going to be one of those top athletes with the highest times or not, anybody in their class put in the work, they could find themselves on that top 5 most improved list from the previous week to this week. And we'll put those up by the junior high lockers in the hallway, and then we'll put them up in the gymnasiums as well and update those week by week. But that gets them excited for it, and we slip in some fundamental work. We'll have them going over wickets like we do with the high school track program, where they're working on a lot of their sprint mechanics and fundamentals without even knowing it. So we're instilling some good habits before we have to break them out of bad habits in the high school level.
You guys talk a lot about the different tools and different things that you use, like the lasers and all that kind of stuff. So how do each one of you kind of manage your budget for your classroom? Because obviously we do a lot with the budget. So how do you guys manage that individually and then collectively as a group? Because obviously you teach different areas, so you might have something you need for a more specific area that maybe someone else might not. So how do you guys kind of work through the budget aspect of it?
I guess I can start because I kind of feedback off of both. They kind of establish their budgets, and I'm like, that looks good. I don't see anything else I need, or we got room for this, which most of the time I'm not really needing to get much else than what they've already asked for, or if they're getting grants or anything like that in place. We can talk about that too. But like elementary wise, had a little bit when I took over updating stuff from Mr. Johnson, but right, our testing wise, we got all the materials we need now. So now it's just things wear out, the bags wear out, scooters wear out, so we're getting new ones of those. So that's trying to constantly buy a few of this or a few of that to make sure that we're not having to buy the whole lot of it at one time if we can, as best we can. And then if there's anything left in there, trying to see if there's anything we can add that's new. Like last year we did the Kids Heart Challenge, which was, kids raised a lot of money, so it was awesome. So we got like different golf clubs and things, which we didn't have before. So that was kind of nice. So if whatever's left of like the necessities, we can see anything new in there too.
I'll have my normal academic budget, trying to get equipment and stuff for my classroom, and I've had a lot of success working with the administration, getting what I need there, and then I've also used a separate account for fundraising, for set up the kind of activity account like a club through the weight room. So to give us a chance to work in sessions, I've had kids volunteer, which is phenomenal because we have a legitimate club that they have requirements to work in sessions or games. So it's just volunteering their own time out of no obligation, but they know that it's going towards the extra stuff that might be outside of the budget for our strength program. They've been phenomenal with that. Also reaching out to different companies for local and national grants. One way that we've done that, and it's opened up a lot of doors, is looking at it through the STEM aspect, offering or applying for grants with some of our assessment equipment that could be used for, say, a physics class if they're trying to calculate speed or acceleration, or the jump mat, for example. just calculating hang time and gravitational pull. That was a really good avenue to look towards with funding. Fortunately, I think sent out 3 or 4 applications and didn't get any this year, but that's another way we look to raise money on the side to help with the extra stuff. But things like the record board was from concessions and a donation from the Dobson family, which was really welcomed. And some of our assessment stuff just came out of that activity side, the 1,000-point shirts that the kids can earn, stuff that isn't really directly related to the instructional side, but more of that motivating, try to tie them, get them bought in. So that's kind of the 2 avenues that I've been using for funding is equipment and necessary stuff through the school, through the academic budget, and then trying to raise some money on the side for the other stuff.
Any other questions for the physical education team? Perfect. Thank you, gentlemen. We appreciate it. We'll let you get out of here and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, agenda item 5, the principal is Mr. Fingston.
Okay, we are close to the finish line. Last day for seniors who could exempt finals was today. So we'll have senior finals tomorrow and Wednesday. We'll have the graduation rehearsal, senior meal, all that on Wednesday around noon. So kind of what we got going on there. Underclassmen in 9th through the 11th grade, we have finals next week, Wednesday and Thursday. So besides that, a couple things to highlight is NCC Art Awards. Lydia Shotfeld honestly about swept the whole thing. Artist of the Year, Student's Choice, some other things. So I just captured those who received at least one first place award. I think Mr. Shada broke down a little bit more too. So Hall of Fame. We had the pleasure of inducting 2 teams into the Hall of Fame from the 2025 National FBLA Conference. We had the esports team, was 4 members, Wyatt Plus and Lucas Chapelier, Braxton Stahl, and Trent Silver. And then we had the 3rd place business management team and Gus and Joe Burns. So added to the Hall of Fame board. Graduation, I kind of ran through this. Graduation will be this Sunday at 1. If you could all be here 12:30, 12:40-ish, 12:45. We usually typically meet in here, just talk about anything. Do we have any requests to be on the stage, not on the stage? Otherwise, it's typically, go ahead.
Cass and Jason.
Yep,
Okay.
the 2 of us are gonna be on there.
Sounds good. And you can maneuver what that looks like and whose hands you're shaking and all that kind of stuff. We'll sign diplomas here in a minute, or we can sign them that morning. Or
We'll sign them
the
after,
meeting.
just
Sounds
because
good.
Chase won't be able to be there.
Sounds good. If you are not on the stage, so everybody but Kat, Jason, we have a reserved spot for you at the front of the bleachers, so we do all walk in together, and then if you're not on the stage, you can just kind of pause over there on the left-hand side, so. And your significant other can stay there too, whatever, your family, whatever. I mean, you don't have to sit separate from them, so. And then middle school honors is the next day, so, I think that's kind of what's going on. Looking to put together a pep rally, state baseball. I know that's not captured on here, so state baseball. Our baseball made it to state. First game is Saturday at 4, so we got that coming up. We'll find out how track does tomorrow. Track districts is tomorrow. So hopefully we'll add a few more to honor there. We got golf districts on next Tuesday, if I remember right. And we get to go to York instead of Sydney.
Is there a possibility Sydney was on
It was, we thought we were there.
Oh, boy.
But they switched with Beatrice or something, and then they switched to a different quadrant, so that helped us out, so. And then Steve's son Winston, he got 7th at the conference bowl, so
Okay. You'll see Mr. Shea report attached in there, it goes into a little more detail.
Yep.
As Mr. Fink indicated on Hall of Fame, some art show, items, including, some more Skills USA things, a lot of FBLA stuff, in there, but, more specifics on, high level Mr. Fink touched upon, I'll give Mr. Shader's report. And then Dr. Morgan.
All right, totally this report. So sorry. Goodness sakes. All right, we got lots of stuff that has happened and going to happen. We got a Pender Honor Band, 5th and 6th grade elementary students go to Pender every year. There are always quite a few of them, and then they performed on that night. They practice all day long with lots of other schools, and then perform at night. Several field trips already happened. There they are listed. And then we had some outdoor experiences that also happened. First graders finished their swim lessons. Remember, this is funded through a grant with the YMCA. They go 4 times and work on some swimming lessons, get them ready for the summer weather. Teacher Appreciation Week just wrapped up. PTO, parents, Mrs. Burns and Mrs. Art put together a fabulous week of fun treats, games, excitement for the staff, and very much appreciated. Mrs. Google's been hard at work with our health program. She had a battle of the book. She also had a challenge day. So just getting some different experiences for kids in battle of the books. They read several chapter books and then they go and answer questions and compete against other schools. And so they had a good day there. Dream Day just happened. We had almost 30 presenters. There's some pictures there of some of the presenters. Some things included things like basketball. Midland's basketball team came out and did some fun activities with kids. We had someone who did glass blowing. We had Fremont police came and did crime scene investigation, what that looks like. We had a gentleman who helped to make some marshmallow slingers. Very much appreciate that. There was some presentations on semi trucks and painting and good stuff. So lots of good experiences there for kids. And then we did have Mr. Eckhart left, but he's featured in my thing here. We had our last SOAR incentive day. Students earn bracelet program. For every 10 bracelets that they earned, they got a temporary tattoo. And in the library, there were a ton of bags with teacher and staff members' pictures on it. And they got to choose where they wanted to put their temporary tattoos. And then May 1st, we all put them on and then had a little show with all of our tattoos. And Mr. Eckhart was sick the day before, and so we had a team getting him ready there. And you can notice he's got a lot on and he had a lot more. Although the winner, I did not get a picture of him in here, was Mr. Walkenhorst with 641 temporary tattoos. I believe he may still be trying to get those off. It was pretty intense. It was pretty intense, but all good stuff, all in good fun. The kids had a good time. I know, right? No, I thought it was too. Well, I announced, like, gotta find Mr. Walkenhorst because he was at golf the day he presented them. Gotta find him tomorrow. He's gonna have all 300 of his tattoos on. He's like, I counted, there were 640 on it. Oh my God. So he's the winner. Either the most liked or not, whichever way you see that. He was the most liked right there. Good stuff though. That's it.
Thank you, Dr. Morgan. Mr. Kingston, agenda item 6, superintendent's report, Dr. Lewis.
Yes, and my updated legal log is on there for you to review. Go ahead and let me know if you have any questions about that, as well as the NASB and NERSA reports. Policy update service changes. So this is what we have been getting for years upon years through our service unit is free policy updates from Perry Law Firm. So when the legislation session is over and policy updates, they have just been, Perry Law Firm will send them to the service unit and Dr. Schnoes or whoever is in charge of that service unit sends them out to your school districts for adoption. So this will be the last set of updates that we get through that process. So now NASB has a deal with Perry Law Firm to provide the updates as part of their Spark program. And so we had a couple of different options. Basically, we choose one or the other. One is like full policy integration and push out updates, I believe, into Spark, which right now our policies are not like So that felt like a big jump, so, we'll have to choose one of these. I told NASB I would prefer that lower price tag to begin with, which is a $1,250 option, I believe. That's for consideration for now. Once we get used to it, we can, now go into the more expensive option, the $1,750. We're seeing agreement there for the lesser amount of the $1,250 in section 6, where it's 60s. The news is actually, when I talked to Dr. Jones about it at the service unit, he didn't even know about it. The school started asking him, so it was something NASB and from worked out between them.
Yeah, so on, I'm gonna call it a money grab, because that's what it appears to be. You don't really have a choice to get those policy updates anymore. This is really the only way to do it now. So as Dr. Lewis said, before you has the lesser of the two options. Get those legal updates, which we need to have.
And that'll be an action later, is that right?
No, because it's under 10,000.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yes,
just FYI.
this is just the
Got it.
information. Yeah.
Okay.
And then I just also put on there a reminder that next month's meeting is going to be on the 3rd day. We decided on the 15th last month. Yes.
All right, go to agenda item 7, community representative reports, buildings and grounds. There's a lot to talk about. So I will turn it over to whoever and to go over everything.
Jason?
I'm gonna start on.
I will, here's what I will do. I'll have Mr. Fingston pull up the actual notes report as he's got up. So go to, yes, well, like, go to the one where it says, right there. You can only see that one? Okay, never mind. I've got 4 of them on mine. All right. So I will just rough out what we've been doing here, if everybody doesn't mind, and then you guys can continue that discussion from there. So we met last Monday. We had met once previously before that too, and then also we may have actually been, because we had a short window in between our board meetings here. But
We meet a lot, they all run together.
I feel like the last time we met was actually the day of the April board meeting, and then we met again. I think you're right. Okay, so what we had, who's in the room this time or joining us, so we had our architect, which is DLR. We had a Boyd Jones representative who could do some cost analysis and some projections. And we had basically what I'm going to refer to, it'll probably be wrong, but like a PR person in the room. Job is to help school districts if they're considering building projects that may require a bond, how to like gauge the feeling of the community for that, and gain support if that's the direction the board chooses to go. And then we had a Northland Securities, who is Tobin Buchanan. It is the finance firm that we worked with in the past when we have had QC Puff bonds, lease purchases, and then the bond that was voted for. He might not have been part of that one, but I think he still have been just stepping out of administration himself at that time, but it was before my time. Those are the people we had in the room. DLR presented a 4th option. I'm going to kind of let the committee take it from there. Talk about that. Aaron, if you scroll down to, I don't know, like page 26.
Jackie.
Jackie,
Yeah,
sorry,
she's right.
sorry.
Yeah. You got it.
I'm gonna go in. We'll not only say, we'll say option A. There we go.
Ish, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so there's oversight.
Okay, so this includes the shop over the courtyard, closing that in. Doing the existing, I would call it shop, CT or whatever. So updating that, and then kind of giving a new look to the entrance into the main entrance going into the gym.
Scroll down one page, Jackie.
And then the wrestling room on the west side that would connect the lockers and a
Current hallway.
storage
Sort of.
hallway kind of thing. Not sure if this is gonna be what the south end is gonna look like along the gym. We're all kind of thinking that needs to be scaled back.
Mhm.
Number one, because of price. And then if anything needs to be done at the south end later on, I have no idea what, but then you're gonna tear it down.
Yeah.
So it seems like that needs to get.
Scale back.
Yep.
So we still had our three main focuses, so the CTE area, the wrestling space, and then addressing the entrance into what is currently the activities gym. So those are our three main focus areas. In this last meeting, we got actual rough, like better price estimates, where before we had no idea what we were talking about with each space. If you go to, I don't think, Jackie, that you have it.
You have to, it's there, you just have to log in as a user, just.
So on, for us though, for the board members, the PS options budget, Arlington PS options budget, that gave us a really good idea. So there's still the same thing, option A, B, C, and D, and it broke it down more on what we're looking at for pricing. That was really eye-opening for us, looking at the wrestling space and the shop space, and then the overhang, or the, what were they calling that? Canopy. The big difference was the scope of work on that canopy. So because if you add that on, like Jason kind of mentioned, if we do anything later on, in years to come, and what we kind of talked about was maybe a
Do an art center.
thank you, an auditorium, thank you. If we were to do that, most likely that would probably happen in that west corner, because that's where we would have space. So we would be taking off something that we just put up in our most recent addition. So we don't want to do that. How do we look at something that's not?
There, look, it goes all the way around. It would still come out here
Yeah.
because we have to have that. It just depends on how far.
There's a huge price.
It might be the
Sure.
depth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the depth and how.
So-
It's not gonna go all the way, because then they can attach anything they want into this section later. Does that make sense? For everybody, so it would latch on and they wouldn't have to take that off, because you're looking, what, 2.3 million just for the canopy right now?
That's one of the options.
That projection.
That with the full
All the way
huge
down
one,
to
yeah.
under one.
Yeah.
You go all the way down.
There's lots of, there's different options, like the different price points. A lot of them had to deal with the different size of the canopy. The other thing to know on the cost projections that they kind of gave us, this is just for the space itself. It's not including the equipment,
Right, well, there's.
all of that. So it would include,
That's in the additional project costs.
Right.
yeah, so that's that last or whatever, it's down further. So when we look at like within those options, that first like big chunk within the options is just the buildings, and then they have your additional project costs, that's the equipment. So we were trying to look at, okay, what's the difference in our building cost itself? How can we do something that's going to meet what we want to address, but do it the most cost effective? So that's where we're really kind of digging into what are we getting with the canopy? What are the options with the wrestling space? There's, those are the big things there. The big concern right now is the canopy. It would be pretty now, but it's kind of really expensive.
And none of this is like addressing the drainage issue.
All of it.
It will, yes.
Okay.
So that is included,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's
because
included in the building price.
includes enclosing the courtyard and
Mhm.
converting that to CT space. It all fixes that.
So on the southwest corner of the shop that's there now, where there used to be.
Do you wanna go back?
some- So there used to be power something right there. And I don't know who has the answer, if there's anything left, but that, we could literally take that out of there and make that thing drain down towards the bottom of the.
Taking what out? What are you talking about?
It's by,
It would be
About.
yeah, right about there.
Where like it used to be fenced in,
Yeah.
and now it's not, it's just like a pad with some posts kind of sticking out of the
Some
ground.
raised areas.
Yeah,
And it's one of the things you just trip on anyway, so we're gonna have to do something anyhow, but I think it could
It's a
be
phone. Yeah, yeah, it's
changed a little bit to help more of the drainage probably down.
What line item on, these cost projections is all that concrete and the drainage included?
It's included in, just the, site improvements. No, that was the end, that little spot there. But I think it's all included in the, learning lab
Learning
addition
lab edition.
and learning lab renovation, those two there.
Because wasn't there like 135 or 150?
Yeah, 35
That was
for
landscape.
site
That's
improvement.
landscape.
But that's the fancy stuff in the front. If you go to the next image, Jackie found, that's the plants, the foliage, those kind of things.
And that's just-
And we don't
it's
know
just an
exactly what
estimate.
that's
That's
gonna
just a
look like.
number,
It's
yeah.
just a fun drawing to me though.
Because we
Give
gotta
some
find
ideas.
something to do with the dump. It's gonna look
Yeah.
like that.
yeah. So talking about a canopy right now, I feel like.
I'm not talking
That's
about
a really-
closed comments.
No,
That's
no,
not
we are
talking-
100% talking about a canopy, but I feel like canopy is the really big difference in price. That's gonna be how big of a canopy. I personally saw that one of them is, under $1 million, but it's still $1 million for a canopy for something that, yes, it's serving a purpose, it's keeping the water off, it's dressing up the building, yes, that's great. It's still $1 million almost. But another option is 2.3. That seems kind of crazy, especially considering it's something that we may be, potentially 1 year tearing off. Because it's not going to be something that if we were to do, years down the road, 20, 30 years down the road, this would be an area that we would probably be addressing to do any additions to the school. So thinking about how to prepare for the future and how that's going to be tie into future projects is a concern for us too. I feel like the wrestling space and the CTE space are both our committee, I think would agree, they're in really great spots. They utilize, they address the issues that we have with water. They address all of that in those. Obviously they're a bigger ticket item. I think the next thing moving forward is figuring out, obviously the canopy, how big that's going to be, but then the support behind it. Do we have the support to go forward with a bond of somewhere around between 11 and $13 million? Because that's where now we have a cost projection somewhere between those numbers, and that's what we got from Boyd Jones. So that's what we are at, is do we have the support to move forward with a bond?
So question, since the drainage and the concrete is included in the learning lab rent and the learning lab addition, from a drainage standpoint, not including the canopy versus including it, what did they say would happen to drainage?
So the canopy didn't really address much when it kind of came to, we didn't talk about much about drainage when it came to the canopy. It's more, they're already going to address the drainage with the concrete no matter what. But we want to make sure, one of those things that we wanted to hit was addressing that entrance. How are we going to make people realize this is the entrance? Doing a canopy that kind of covers that entrance as well as kind of covering that. I mean, it's obviously going to help with water. If we don't have water hitting right there, that's going to help address that. But the ground itself, the concrete, that's all going to be addressed in no matter what.
Because in these pictures, Kath, it all shows that it's all flat.
They'll
Yes.
channel it away.
Yep.
They'll level,
I mean, it's probably not going to be completely
hump
flat.
there. I mean, there's no way to move that much dirt for that,
Yeah.
where the ramp comes down
Yeah.
from the dumpsters. That'll still be there. This will,
So
It's not
here-
perfect.
I guess
it's
my
not gonna
question,
be flat.
this pathway right here.
Yep.
You usually have to go down. Is that gonna be relatively flat right now?
No. It's still gotta be the same as with those garage doors are at one height and the floor in that shop that cannot be changed.
So that's the part that's
So that has to stay.
That's the part that's deceiving about these type of drawings. Like they give you, that's a potential of what it might look like. But if you're talking about the ground level itself, it's not accurate.
No.
These drawings are more for the people that can't conceptualize the overhead drawings. But this is not, I mean, it's not going to be on level, because there's no way that that's going to happen with the way our school is built.
Got it. So the entrance is still gonna be back here, but you're still gonna have to down. Yep, correct.
Yeah, but they're gonna address all of that water flow, so it's not going straight into that door or
Got
into
it.
that courtyard
Okay.
area.
So just pulling this canopy off, throw off that water flow.
I would believe so, because but we're thinking that we probably still need something here, but how do we cut this off and get, we're talking about a couple 100 feet rather than a few, whatever, a couple 1,000 feet, because all of this has to have foundation underneath of it to support. Oh, I touched it. I'm sorry.
No, you didn't.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't you.
So I understand this area.
Yeah,
My question is from here to here,
it's not necessary.
there's no entrances
So it
here.
doesn't
There's
serve a
nothing.
purpose.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
And there
That
are
would be-
actually
and
entrances there. I'll back up.
There are.
There are entrances there.
Yeah.
Public.
But they're not they're directly into the gym. It gets used for graduation, or I'm sorry, not graduation, but for prom and things like that.
Those are-
But yes.
That's the big difference between the 2.3 million or the 1. That's what we're talking, because all of that has to have a foundation under it. So
I
that's
guess,
a big difference in price.
I guess my question is, when we set out to do this, we wanted to address the entrance.
Yes.
Me speaking,
Mhm.
does even the $1 million option really accomplish our goal here?
Well, I think that these are design things that can all be worked in, so I think the next time we see a drawing of when, this is ready to show people, just like,
That was an option to
for
be like 800.
for gathering, yes, for gathering, feedback and things like that, that it definitely came across in the meeting to scale that back, that it doesn't need to be so grand. But we also, I think we would really be missing the boat if we didn't do anything, because it's all we've been hearing about since that actually got put on there.
Jackie, if you go up to option C
And if you put that roof over there.
and ignore the yellow
capture that
box.
water and already gain yourself 80 feet.
Mhm.
Towards the ditch.
It's covered all the way to the door.
You still
You
have
gotta realize,
access then
you
to
can't
the
see
overhead, where's the place where they're at.
And
Now,
then, and where
these
you can see
things
through
could-
there and see the trees, that's gotta be covered, because you don't want snow to blow in there. And if it rains really hard from the east, then you're defeating your purpose anyway.
Yeah.
So explain what we're looking at here.
You go,
Just
okay,
ignore
Jackie.
the yellow, that would just
It's
show
just
Show another one.
different
it's a
versions.
long covered
There you
tunnel
go.
all the way to the door where the entrance.
That was one place where they were talking about.
So ignore the yellow box on this drawing.
Got it, okay.
But if you look
So it
more at
just
the
get-
white area,
Yep.
that would be a more cost-effective use of that canopy.
And that's the cheapest canopy
Exactly.
cost, but I believe it also comes out a little further. You could probably push that back in if you don't have that
Yeah.
slinger room up front there and get that cost down a little bit lower than that.
Yeah.
So it covers it.
Yes. Either way, we really think that doing some type of canopy to address that entrance, because that is an area that we decided we want to address. But our committee does not think that we need to spend $2 million on that. We need to see how little almost we do that still addresses it in the best way. Like, let's use our dollars the most effective to hit the need, but not do something that years down the road, we're gonna have to take off anyway.
Is it, since the elevation hasn't changed, since you're still going down,
I think it will change some.
It
It won't be
change some.
dramatic.
Yeah, it can come up with-
So is there anything getting added on to them doors now where the way it sits in this program?
No, we're not touching the entrance itself.
It makes it look like the canopy.
We're not
It's a covered
enclosing
chute
anything.
all the way down there, so
'Cause if-
everything is covered.
Every,
Yeah,
Everything is covered.
I
Once
still
you get
believe
to
that you're gonna have to have a garage door.
Yeah. and
Right.
that, we
Where?
go the other way.
Or wait, right.
Yeah, it's over here, yeah. That's
Right
what it
in
is
here.
right now.
Because you gotta get into there somehow, so this has to be big enough to get a skid and whatever.
Like they are now, like they,
I can't do on the table.
the other, and some of these things are like design options too, because based on feedback, from the community. And then as we get into, if you get to the next phase after feedback and the board does for a bond election and that is approved, then we go into this nitty gritty design. So we're like, well, would it make more sense? Is it more cost effective? Because you do that, you don't approve a design when you're calling for an election. You're just calling for a vote to see if the community is willing to bond $11 to $12 million to do a project like this. And then you get into the nitty gritty design. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it would say up to $12 million.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's an up to vote.
So we know what areas we're looking at. We want to, as a committee, want to be more specific on, are we looking at up to 12 million or are we looking at up to 13 or 14? And do we have the support of that?
Because we like option A, but right now
With some critiques.
that comes in at 12.6. If we take off 1.3 minimum, all of a sudden you're at 11.3. You know, we can reduce that to canopy. Option A gives the most renovation, the most space, everything, takes care of all the plumbing, and gives us the largest 3-mat wrestling practice because it's over on the west side with the least amount of additional work. It integrates right into the locker rooms.
It hits a lot of the requirements within like Title.
Yeah,
Yes.
if we're talking about equity in the.
Yes, within the locker room.
Yes.
And that locker room needs to be touched. That was one that didn't get touched the last time, and that would make sure that we address that this time. It would hit a lot of areas within that athletic area for wrestling that's kind of been neglected. And it still is, even though we are saying, yes, it's a wrestling space, it's able to be used for more than just wrestling.
Used for PE and like everybody said, cheerleading and
Yep.
it has to be used for other things.
And we would then take a little bit, potentially take off some of the stress that's being placed on the blue gym by having that space right next to it too. So that was one of the reasons we felt like that was a good place to put it, because everything's really close.
Right. Flow, yeah, and there's still a likelihood, even with a wrestling room, that all groups would not be able to practice at the same time. So you could have girls in junior high in one space and boys in the other space, but then they're just connected with that pass through. So they're easily accessible to one another.
Is a canopy the only option that was looked at, or the only option?
No,
to-
we had.
It's what we scaled back to,
I was gonna say, we looked at a whole enclosed new commons.
Yeah.
They've
Definitely
given us a bunch more actual enclosed class
Yes.
control space, but that, believe me, is much more.
So,
Well, and then that limits your access to the shop anyway.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, and closing it kind of creates.
Just don't want to be able to get stuff up in there if we have.
I get where you're getting the push, but you're not thinking we're getting much, but remember, say we chop this back, which we would, it wouldn't.
Yeah.
go
Say you
out.
go even.
But you're,
Say you go even.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You're
But
gonna
I'm
cut a
saying
ton of costs by
you
doing that.
can, you're taking all this out.
My
Mhm.
question is, from an entrance, dressing it up, standing from the public, what are you gaining besides having a wall or horizontal?
No. Horizontal?
Yeah.
Because it's gonna be elevated, that runs
Yeah, it's gonna be-
horizontal, right here.
No, it's gonna
And that-
and then all the way back and around. First of all, we're protecting all the other millions of dollars that we're spending here with that covering. We
I thought we were
don't,
addressing the drainage already regardless of the canopy though.
we are, but it's better to have a canopy there than not. Because we can do two things for drain. If you're protecting the rain from hitting and the snow and everything getting down there, that's a better option than we could do it completely without. But then you're gonna have then that entrance is really gonna be hidden.
We have
with-
another
with
snow
nothing.
problem.
And you have.
Because all that snow and water is gonna sit in that corner.
I understand the drainage side of
Yeah,
things. My question is more on addressing the entrance though. Drainage, totally understand.
Yeah,
But I don't know if it addresses any complaints about the look of an entrance
No,
by
they've
just
got
having a
they've got to
ceiling,
redo
basically.
it. They will put
Yeah.
something over that shows. On top of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just not
we
gonna
don't
be
have any of that. It's
Piece
not
of
gonna be
white
just
flashing up there.
an 18 inch.
The sign that says
concrete.
gym
There'll be a
entrance
bunch
is gonna
of-
be on.
Yeah.
But that-
dressing it up is not something that that's all. My understanding is that how that canopy looks, how it like I said, where what it says, Arlington, Gym, whatever it says there, is all going to be included in that.
Yes,
That's part of the cost. That's all included in the, however that canopy looks. The artistic aspect of it is all included in that.
This is really
It's-
mechanical right now. It's
Yes,
very blocky.
on
It's really
size.
blocky.
Totally get the drainage side of things.
Yeah.
That totally makes sense. I mean, from particular, because say it's 1.5 feet thick, which is gonna still be smaller than the signage that's currently in the gym.
Mhm.
So from a reading standpoint, it's gonna be more
No,
difficult.
We're not
Yeah.
saying the signage is only gonna be this big. We can put more
We just
around
don't
it.
have
just
that.
We haven't gotten
Yeah,
that
we
far. Like, that's like our next step.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
on the canopy, yeah.
Yeah,
Your
okay.
mind is working way too fast.
Yes.
But,
That's where we start too.
Understand that, but these are very important questions to
Mhm.
answer before we even think about
Oh, I agree.
going to a bond issue. That's why I'm asking them.
Yeah.
Especially with these price tags.
Yeah.
And that's just on the canopy.
Mhm.
I think there are, before we switch, is there any other questions? Understood from a drainage standpoint, understand that there's still artistic things, we're waiting on design things and stuff. I think we all agree, well, I think, the least amount we spend, I go scaling that back
Yeah.
to be, even with the wall that's currently there.
Mhm.
I think that's your best route.
The worst part though, when you look at that and cut that back as far as you want to cut that back, Chase, remember, we have a draining problem there.
Yeah.
So the water is gonna flow back that same direction in that same area.
So I guess.
Depending on where-
If you cut that
And
back,
we don't know the grade yet either.
no, I understand. that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know we're getting into depths here, but my
Yeah.
question would be 15 feet, if it goes out this far, another 15 feet, where's it draining to?
Yeah.
I know that's an engineering question,
Yeah.
but
I think those are questions that we in this room really don't.
We don't know
have.
yet, because we haven't gotten that far.
They're gonna
Yeah.
tie all.
I got it. Okay.
Yeah.
They tie that all.
I agree. Looks good.
okay. Yeah, I'll turn it over the buildings and grounds on the next component.
We talked about, with Boyd Jones, they were the ones, so all of theirs is their pricing is based off square footage. So we, again, have not gotten into the design aspect of it or anything, it's based off of the square footage estimate.
And the extras that go into it, the, and all of those things too.
Yeah, the only thing that's not included would be, I'm forgetting the insurance term right now, which is terrible. If you were to, those things that are not fixed. So the welding machines, anything that if you tip the building upside down, dumped it out, that's what's in that additional project costs. So anything that has to do with the HVAC or the heat loss calculation on that, that's all included within these rough estimates on square footage costs.
Well, because what was the wrestling room? Square footage wise, wasn't it like?
Square footage is
4,800?
48 on wrestling ring space.
Or 5,400.
So,
Which one? I
No,
thought we
that's a
looked at
different
option
one.
I'm just,
Well, we were talking about the bigger one though.
let's see, we literally can get by with like 40 by 100, well then if you go down to 4,000 square foot, it still holds you 3.5. That makes a difference too.
Yeah.
So, because 5,400 is whatever the one was for wrestling,
Mhm.
that's big.
Yeah.
I mean, 54 by, that's a big room.
The additional project cost, is that total for, like, let's look at option A, additional
Mm-hmm.
project cost, is that items all inclusive, all those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 line items? Or is there an
Scroll down to
example?
the bottom
Those
of the
are-
page, additional project costs include.
Yep, no, I
Yeah.
know that. My question is, how do we have a breakdown of line item for project cost? In other words, for the learning lab renovation, what breakdown of that additional project cost is that?
That's furnitures, fixtures and equipment. They have not done. it
A
yet.
dollar
We're not
amount attributed to each line item.
We have
We
not,
don't.
we're not into the project yet, so that's just based on
These are
what the
estimates.
stuff is.
I'm guessing it's a percentage of the total dollars and they just go 0.5% or whatever it is.
These are-
It's also
these are people
high
that-
level. Mhm.
So looking at the wrestling edition, let's smaller one, 2.3, call it 2.3 to 2.4.
Mhm.
So was steel building discussed?
Yes, a steel building, we talked a lot about that. The steel building does not have the life of a brick building. We talked about, as we were talking about that, I was also like, okay, hold on, because they talked about not wanting to tie in at all to our current post and beam building, whatever you want to call that, the weight room. Because at some point, that's gonna have to be addressed. So we don't wanna do that again. And we wanna make sure that it's a long-term, that it's a brick facade, that it looks nice, and it doesn't look like the school does now, where there's a steel building just attached to the side of the school. It would give us a better life on the building. It
Part of
wouldn't
the
be-
conversation as well was that steel building does not save you significant dollars for that brick anymore. He said
And
it used to, that might have used it in the case, but he said it's not anymore.
And I think the big thing is the difference between the type of construction we're talking about when we talk about education. Education compared to a farming the project, I feel like they're just in a completely different realm. Because I think about if we were to put up on our farm, if we were to still, it is obviously gonna be way cheaper than if education. It's different. And that was kind of the one thing that DLR was trying to like stress to us, that it's like when we're talking about in this realm with an education facility, the price is so similar that you are better off because of the longevity of the building going with a brick building. That's what I understood from that conversation is that.
Because what they say, 20 years on a steel frame mortar shed like there is now, you know, and
Yeah.
part of, well, this school's, 63, so however many years it is, 40, some 50.
Yeah. We're more looking at just,
years old.
luckily we haven't had a huge hailstorm that's come through and had, destroyed the entire siding of that building. There's all those other things that go into that price as well. So that we did ask about that,
I don't remember if there was any talk of that doubles as a tornado shelter. If it has the cat or.
I don't
precast
believe,
roof or not.
He said it may have been addressed with the space that we have.
yes, I don't believe that we needed to address it because of the last project that was done.
Down
But
That
once we get
addressed
into
that
building
requirement.
codes, we'll know more. Because it's not classroom, it's classroom, but it's not
Yeah.
classroom.
So I think for me, I see these costs and I see the most expensive one on there being non-academic.
Yeah.
I know our three focus areas which we're looking at 100%. The weight, the CTE, ag, shop area, those things, definitely from an academic standpoint, I think you're getting a lot of ROI on that.
Yeah.
100%. Totally, I think wrestling edition, cheerleading's gonna use it. I think there are some other components to it. However, it's not gonna be used as much, if anything, for the academic side of things.
And I think the way it's broken down right here is a little deceiving because the wrestling, obviously not academic, and the locker rooms, technically not academic either. But that, it's really close in comparison to the learning lab for those addition and the renovation. And then you also have to add in the 2.5 million. That's gonna way push over it. We are putting more money into our learning lab addition and renovation and the equipment. But because of the way it looks broken down, yes, that auxiliary space, the wrestling room is a bigger ticket item just by itself. But if you add up your learning labs, your addition and your renovation, plus your additional project costs, which would be those welding units and all those different materials that are gonna go in there, that then is a heck of a lot more than the 2.3 potentially for a wrestling
You'd
space.
be looking at having to ask for an $8 million bond just to do the CTE space and take care of the waterproofing and do the entrance. So the question, or what we think as a buildings and grounds, I think, was, can we pass that? Is that possible? well, if we add an additional 3, 2.5 to 3, and we get the additional room for the athletics and everything, all of a sudden we're bringing 2 groups of people together that want something.
Or you're poisoning it.
Exactly. That's the hard, and that's right there, what we've talked about.
Yep.
That's where we are at as our committee, is do we have the support? Do we feel that we would have the support of, if we wanna address both areas, but there are gonna be people that say, we're only going to support education. We're not gonna support the athletic aspect of it. But there's also gonna be people that say, but if you don't do that additional with that athletic space, then we're not gonna support the education aspect of it. So this to us is the way to not kill 2 birds with 1 stone, but to create a common ground. Is everybody gonna be happy? No. No, and I mean, no, they're not. But this is a way for us to come together and find a common ground where everybody is getting something. We're addressing our big issues that our community feels that we have, which I think the board all agrees that we do have. Again, we're not all gonna be happy. And there are gonna be some people that are gonna come out and say, because that gym is on there, I am not voting for it. And that's really sad. That's really sad.
At the same time, we've done survey after survey, focus group after focus group. We've had all these meetings, and these are the top 3. They come in the top 3 every single time.
And I think
Depending, and not always in the same order.
Yeah.
whatever the personal views, this is what has been brought up. I think we make the best plan with the best design to spend the dollars the most.
Cost effectively.
Yes, and then you just put it out there for a bond, and if it fails, then that's
That's the hard,
that's where we're at.
yeah.
I mean, this is what we've told or been told that people want. Well, I think we just give it a try, and if it fails, then obviously they spoke louder than the ones that we've all been talking to.
And that's the hard part.
Yeah, I mean, it's not new. These have been concerns for, I've been on the board for 12 years. And
Yeah.
it's been since I've been on the board, so.
Yeah.
It's not like we're inventing these problems.
And
Right.
people are now asking, okay, enough.
Yeah, we
We've had
talked
enough
about it
focus
forever.
Either give a solution or stop having these focus groups.
Yes.
I think that's where we're at. So they're either gonna
Yeah.
vote it yes or no,
Mhm.
but we're gonna present them with what we think is a fiscally responsible plan that also addresses the top 3 needs
Yeah.
that have been over and over expressed.
And that's also with the, like, where we've placed our interests and where we've placed the wrestling space. It doesn't, but screw us for the future. I mean, it's setting us up so that in the future, if the, 20, 30 years down the road, when the next board comes in, they're not like, why in the world would they do that?
Right.
Not, offense to the wrestling room, but that's one of the things. We want to make sure that we're not like, well, we can't touch that because we know we're going to have to touch it again, and we don't want to touch it now unless we absolutely have to, so let's not go over there. We don't want to do that for the next board. We don't want to do that for our community. That's why we've kind of come up with this plan. We've obviously done a lot of work through it. It's not coming across lightly, but we have to move forward with our next steps. And do we feel that we have the support to move forward with a bond? Because that is where we're at. Either way, we are going to be looking at the most cost effective. How can we get things cut down? This gets us a rough estimate on price.
Yeah, these are real rough.
Super rough, but at least we have a ballpark. Where before we had no idea what we were talking about in price.
And I would say right now, these are estimates on the higher end.
Yes.
It should go down as we pair. We've got everything kind of thrown in.
Yeah.
We'll be able to move some.
And with the other bond coming off in a couple of years, and they have this
Wrap
program
Yeah.
where
Yes.
you don't have huge spikes in your levy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there
we're
won't
talking
be a
in
sticker
nickel.
shock.
Yes.
There won't be a sticker shock to the levy if we do a 20-year wrap.
Yep.
It'll still retire the other bond on time,
On time.
Mhm.
Yep.
but it will just maintain a more level.
Which is part of our board goals. We don't want these huge influxes of the tax levy. And this is one of those options that we've talked with financing
And if you
that we can
compare,
do.
yeah, if you compare, what was he saying? You compare us to anybody, Fort Calhoun, any of them that have been around, we're coming in
Like a third of
so lower and so,
The board's
much
done a very
more
good
where
job
we're
of
at.
staying low.
they're not even comparable.
Because a lot of bonds, what are 15, anything, what they say,
Oh,
40 or
that was
something like
40.
that.
Yeah.
40
Their
cents.
bonds, yeah, what
Yeah.
they're levying.
And what they're
Bond
levying,
funds
they're
to
levying
pay
is
for
way
this.
more
Yeah.
than ours.
So next steps then, the other thing that's on here is the Arlington bond proposal, that file. So that is working directly with, what is her name?
Her name is Annette.
Annette.
Portica, yes.
So we would be engaging with her, potentially, to do more of the, communication aspect of it with our community. So how do we, get all this information out to the community, and not just the quickest way, but the best way to explain to them what we're looking at, and get the key points out there so that they know what's coming up, what we're asking them to vote on. But we don't want to just push something out there that then we're backing up saying, oh, well, that's like these renderings. These are super rough. Obviously, it's not all going to be flat. So those are different things that, even as we talk right here, mental notes that I'm taking is we don't want to show our community this probably.
And
Because people are gonna look at that.
Why did you rip out the playground and the basketball?
Yeah,
No,
right,
we didn't.
exactly.
It's there, it's still there.
Exactly. So those are all different things that by engaging with Annette, we're gonna make sure, this is what she does. And doing those community engagement events and doing community engagement planning sessions. How do we get that information out to them? Obviously, I'm gonna go with none of us have done a bond, I don't believe, on this board. So we don't exactly know what we're doing. So Annette, engaging with Annette, who does this on a very regular basis, is going to be, I think, a huge benefit for our board. We already talked about, there's a few things that we probably don't need to do with her, because we feel like we have a pretty good, the biggest cost things we probably don't need to do with her. So again, still keeping in mind that being cost effective.
How did Annette come into the fold?
So Annette has worked with these groups before, with DLR and with Boyd Jones on projects where they have been trying to get successful bond elections passed.
All around the state.
Yeah, so she was a former employee of Papillion La Vista, when they were booming and building and things like that. And so she worked a lot with, at that point in time, like whatever position she had, she might have been like the assistant superintendent of like the HR and things like that. So she learned through her experiences there and decided that was something that she really, really enjoyed doing. So now she's working with this organization and she knows she's got skills in like getting information that the public needs out there, providing them opportunities for feedback, helping a district gauge what she believes a dollar amount that the community has a stomach for when it comes to a bond. And then once you get to the point where the community or the board votes to call for bonds and the election is coming up, she knows how to then get more information forward for like a vote yes campaign, that kind of thing. So it's just what she does. Her skill set is like feeling those things out, knowing what information your community needs to have in front of them. And again, too, like we're talking about this rendering, right? That's not going to be a perfect drawing. That's going to say conceptual drawing, but she helps you with all of these things so that like what's going in front of people is accurate. And then, so that's her piece of the puzzle. She's worked with lots. I believe she worked, I need her list, but I think she was working with Boyd Jones on,
Was it Waverly?
Waverly, yeah,
Waverly
was one of them.
right now.
And there was another school
Just up north, I know I can't think of all. But the other thing that will happen if we go this next step and engage her and move forward, that clicks everybody into we're more serious.
Yeah.
So then they're gonna spend more time as we pair these things and hone them
Yes.
to getting better drawings. Right now, this is very here's a basic thing.
Yeah, here's the cabinets in the kitchen, but we
Yeah.
don't know what color and how big the doors are.
Yeah, so we'll get so much more in-depth as we move. And keep in mind, again, I didn't even realize this was possible, but that vote, even when it goes to vote, is only, we agree to spend up to $12 million, whatever.
And it's on basics, like
Yeah.
on a wrestling room and
Yeah.
CTE expansion and renovations and activities entrance. You would be very non-specific.
So we're not
because-
gonna spend incredible amounts of money up front to get the super, super detailed plans that they would have to do, then have the issue fail, and we're out that money anyway.
Yeah.
So we're hedged in that way, but they can do a lot of things to increase this little piece, making it look
Yeah, they
better.
help you with the visibility, they help
Yeah.
you gathering the feedback. She has ways to reach not just the people that are in your school building, but
Well, the
I
other
still-
thing, oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, when all this comes out and if we have a net do this, we need to have the dollar amount total, but we also need to have what that is going to affect on the levy.
See,
Now,
that was-
Tobin was talking a nickel.
That was the thing that was most impressive when we broke this down because of the way our taxing is, and if we do a wraparound, what you saw per $100,000. It was, well, Frank, it was less than what they would have charged me for the pool. This whole project,
Right.
was less
Yeah.
than what they proposed for the pool. So when you start seeing it in that, it's not the sticker shock I thought it was gonna be, because when I saw 12 million, I was going, oh dear God.
Yeah.
15 cents is what I was.
Yeah, yeah.
I was like, oh.
And it's not that. So when they, and that's
We're looking
part
a
of
lot
her messaging
closer.
is we don't keep pounding $12 million bond, we pound.
It would
5
only,
cents,
yeah,
you know,
and that's,
that
again,
amount.
those
So
are all
there's-
rough numbers,
Yeah.
but it's a
And
heck
if
of a
it's
lot.
6 or 7, we just need to
Yeah.
make sure that that comes out, that it's not.
Yes.
We're not going to $1.20.
Mhm.
No.
What pieces of from Cortica are you looking at engaging
We
in?
would be looking at
About 30, what is it,
the
3,000,
sandwich,
3,000?
the bread, that's
the community engagement process and then the informational campaign. So from
about 7,000.
roughly, very rough figures, high end on the 5,000 on the first and then maybe 36 on the second.
So my direction after this meeting was actually to reach out to her and talk with her about her steps. So I have not received contract papers to look at yet, but she did email me and say that first step to get things in front of our community that last week of school is like a $4,700 price tag. And that's
To
part
get
of the
what
first,
in front of the community?
just like drawings, the information,
This is the area we're
QR
looking at
code,
addressing.
the getting
Here's
getting
some
getting these
numbers.
ideas, getting wrestling rooms, CTE expansion, game entrance, getting that in front of the public, which we talked about not at graduation, but that week of school after graduation. So it's in the building so people can see it and they can start talking about it and asking questions. It includes some like QR code access so they can give you immediate feedback, that type of information. So she can quickly start gaining whether or not the public is going to support this. Or
And I
people
don't
that are in
think-
those buildings are going to support this.
We're not saying it's $4,700 for a one-time only.
No, that's
thing.
not for that
This
one
is-
thing.
This
That's
is
for,
the, basically, okay, if we're gonna jumpstart, that's what it costs, and then she's gonna use that over the summer, you saw in there, can't remember where it was, but all the different areas we would try to have points of emphasis for community feedback, there's
Right.
7 or 8 of them.
And is
And
she
that's
tracking
part-
all that then? Via some type of mechanism? You said
Yes.
she's,
Yep, so whether it be creating a website or whatever that may be, that's where we need to get, like, all of these, like she talks about the goals and what that would look like, all of that is in here.
Yep.
But it's more of figuring out, when we get into the contract aspect of it with her, of what items do we feel we want, or what do we need? And that's more, once we get into the contract.
The biggest line item, she wanted to basically call everybody in town for
We don't
23
feel like
grand.
that's
If we don't think
necessary.
that's- we're
It's not
we're
a
gonna-
cost-effective use of our
Nobody's gonna
money,
answer.
No.
that too.
what about the people that aren't in the building then? Or those
So that's the other aspect of what she would look at. How do we get that out to them? Where are those common meeting spaces, whether it be at the village office or at the fairgrounds, or, where are those places where people
Senior
gather? Yes.
We have to-
How to, and then putting it in the paper, different stuff like that. That's places that she would help us with. How do we get this out to more people?
Because it was brought to our attention, and we all know this, though we sometimes forget it, whoever shows up on the last day of school is basically our captive audience anyway, right?
Yeah.
We're preaching to the choir there. They have skin in the game at this time.
Mhm.
So we've got to, who we really need to reach, all the retirees and fixed income.
Yeah.
To convince them, no, this is not going to spike. So there's all those different groups she has targeted
Mhm.
and how to do
And for a community forum that she indicates, since we've done a lot of those lately,
Mhm.
and we've presented plans at the most recent one, and we've also presented very rough estimates of cost. What is her agenda? How does it look different than our most recent community forum?
We don't know yet, because we haven't done a contract, we haven't gone into a contract with her yet. But that's what we want to talk to her about, is we already have all of this data. So how can you help us? We already have all of this. How do we get it out to the community to make sure that the people that aren't here, people that are not engaging with us right now, that they're hearing it too? How do we get to them?
I don't think we're nearly as concerned, and we touched on this with that group that was here, she wasn't on at the time, that
Mhm.
we're not concerned about having another community engagement meeting.
No.
We're more concerned about having a place at the table of where the community is, the fair, all these places that we have something
Softball
there.
games too, the
Yeah.
baseball games.
Getting the information out there.
They're already there, because we don't need another meeting, because they're gonna say the same thing.
Mhm.
Right.
So it's more, how do we reach them where they're already at, not at a purpose-driven one time.
Got it. I just want to make sure she's the one doing that and not saying, hey, you should go to a softball game and do that, and then it's on us.
And that's the
Because
stuff
those
that
are
we're
things we
gonna
already
figure
know.
out. Yeah, and that's what the next step of engaging with her is, what does this look like? Because if that's the thing where she says, well, you need to do this, this, and this, and I'm gonna charge you $4,000 for it, well then, yeah, I don't think we're probably going to engage. If it's her telling us what we need to do, we already know that, we want her to help us do those things.
100%.
So that's in the next level of engagement, specifically just with her. It's just starting the engagement with her. We want to make sure that it is cost effective. If it's just someone telling us what to do, I think we can all do that ourselves.
Because after that.
You can pay me half and I'll tell you what
No,
to do.
yeah, we got it.
Well, because what were they saying? By the time Labor Day rolls around, we better have all the ducks in a row to have the bond, dollar amount, plans, everything, so that it gives them,
2 months.
2 months to have everything ready so they can vote in November.
So my
No, it
question, so less than 4 months now,
Mhm.
is that timeline, what you just said, Jason, plausible?
They all agreed it
They
was.
said it was, yeah.
We asked every entity that was in this meeting, because we all said, oh, that's 6 months from now, is that okay? Oh, yeah, we've done it, that's not.
There didn't seem to be a like, no, I don't think there is, but they're like, if this is what you want to do, we need to do it now.
Right.
We need to just quit talking about it and actually do something.
Yep.
So I don't think anybody was like, no, you really need to wait. They're like, if this is what you want to do, then yeah, yes, let's do it. Let's go.
Got
Mhm.
I'm not saying this is to wrap everything up, but there needs to be real, if and when we get to that point of
Mhm.
putting things before a bond,
Yes.
I think there needs to be real strong thought about, different options, available to the public, and not just one.
Yeah.
Because, in other words, I think there needs to be a CTE ag, related one. Let's add this on, because, I think it needs to be tiered.
I get you. So
Because-
breaking down, we're not doing one project. It would be more splitting it up into two.
In other words-
So would you support a CTE focus? And then would you support an entrance and wrestling space
It needs
focus?
to be
Is that what you're
tiered in
talking
my
about?
100%, because if you just put one out there for, let's call it $12 million.
Yeah.
And we're going up or down. It will, if it is voted down, it will make things much more difficult going forward, than doing something that's tiered, as we've seen in other districts.
Mm.
That's me,
Yeah.
you all can disagree
Yeah.
with that.
Well, it's another input that I think that's why it's good to have all of these in front of the board, Because maybe that's an option that we look at, and when we talk about options for pricing, because we still want to have our community engaged in what would you support. So maybe that's an area that we need to talk about with DLR on, is this a possibility? You know, and I don't know, because honestly, between the three of us, we haven't really talked about that within our committee meetings.
Yeah, and that's not something DLR, we can do whatever we want on the bond.
Yes, but we just haven't
Yeah.
talked about it.
I have
Individually,
to-
we haven't asked for that.
I have to make sure that like you can.
That's something we could.
Yeah.
That
You
is
can do
something
it.
that we can
You can
do,
do it.
so. I've got to talk to Tobin and our lawyers and
Yep.
make sure that makes the most sense. I also don't want to put you in a position where you're going to split your vote. You know what I mean, too. So
I-
we have
I
to
get
we
really
have to
nervous
work
about
with the
that.
right people who have done this, who just have better information. So, and I can't sit
Yeah.
here and tell you right now, that we want 2 or 3 different bonds on one ballot, because that sounds counterproductive to me at this point in time, but I don't know.
Yeah.
And I have to find out what is possible, so that's when we're talking to attorneys like Steve Williams and contracts, and we're talking about financing people. I mean, I don't have the exact perfect answer to those questions, so.
I would just be very leery, like I said earlier, that wrestling room is gonna be a poison pill for a large percentage of the community. And you don't want it to derail your education side of things that you're looking at.
And I agree with that. I suspect that if you don't put wrestling on there, you're gonna have people that are trying to poison it the other way too.
Yeah,
So
that's the hard.
That's the tricky part. That balance has gotta be just right.
But let's,
The balance has to be right.
it
Yeah,
does,
yeah.
but,
Now, did you mean you wanted options when we're talking to the community, or you were talking?
no, I say we have to
He
keep
wants
an
to
open
on the
mind about if and when we get to a bond, about the option of the language on the ballot being tiered. It has nothing to do with DLR, they wouldn't be involved in that.
No, but
They
if
would
you
just be
do
involved in
that,
the
what's the
pricing.
percentage do you,
Yeah.
what, if you don't get 50% on anything, it all fails? And if you tier it, you're almost guaranteed you're
No,
That's
you
gonna
vote for everyone, so everybody that votes, you wouldn't, it's not a either or. You
It
can
has
vote-
to be
You can,
either or.
no, you can tier them, other school districts have done it. Where, hey, this, you can put, you're voting just for this, or you're voting for this and this, you can tier it. I've seen it done by other school districts. You're not voting for just pick A or B or C, you're voting for each and every one, so you don't have the issue
But
with the
then
question.
each segment would have to gain 50%? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm just making this up.
Yeah.
Say, first one is just for CTE renovation and addition. Second one is for CTE and wrestling room. The third one is for the canopy, is for everything. You vote for each one. So everybody, so 50% is not an issue. You don't just pick A, B, or C. And then if C passes, you include everything. If B passes, you just include those two. If A passes, you just do that.
So you vote yes or no on each one?
Exactly.
I've got, like I said, these are.
It's something that we
conversations
haven't
that are
talked
next
about, so
level.
we'll have
Yeah,
to,
these are conversations that are next level.
Yeah.
That we're, yeah.
we'll have to look into it. Mhm.
That would really require a lot of education.
Exactly. But it's
Yeah, I don't-
another
I don't
input.
trust your average voter to not think they're voting for 3 bond issues. I mean, they would think, oh dear God, I'm voting.
That's the other thing that's gotta get
Right.
put out, if
Yeah.
they're doing it that way. You gotta make sure that
Yeah.
the message is clear.
And I think from a buildings and grounds, I want you guys to chime in on this.
Mhm.
We think this is way more, this is not a CTE and then wrestling, it's CTE and then entrance, because that is basically one thing.
Mhm.
I would agree with having 2 and then adding on,
The wrestling,
yes.
because the way that canopy, the
I just
way
gave
all
an
this
example.
stuff is.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
have to have 3.
Yep, yep.
Yeah, but
No,
I
was
think
just
you have to
going-
have more than one option.
I think two makes a lot more sense than 3, but I'm just,
Yeah.
we're just, talking here, but I mean, that's what I believe. I think that you.
What if we sort that out through the summer?
Yeah, I don't think you don't have to do it all.
No, you
Well,
don't have
I'm
to
just
do it right
saying.
now.
Yeah.
So
Not-
either way, our
not
next
on a
step
vote in November, sort that out through the summer.
with
Fine.
our engagement with Annette,
So you
that
know
would be
what's going on.
something,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's what you're, one of the big things you're paying for is for her to tell us, hey, right now, I think this thing's running underwater, or you know what, I think you're getting really good feedback. So that's why we pay her to give us a voice in the community.
Okay.
because I would feel better going into Labor Day with one direct plan to vote on. That would either include all or separate them out by then. Yeah. Like sort.
No, but
Haven't
then
sorted.
whether it's going to have support or not.
Yeah.
Well, that's something
And
for
that's
you
what
committee
you put out
members,
there.
you'll have to decide it, I mean,
Right.
it's, yeah, I
Well,
go,
we'll have to bring it back for the board to discuss again.
Yeah, I know.
Yes, yeah.
But are we all in agreement that usually we see that as,
Yep.
the right side
There's
is
two
one, the
projects.
second side is two? We don't
Yeah.
see this as three.
no.
Yeah, no, I was just using 3 as
Oh,
well.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
I just
Yeah.
clarify.
And it's not something we have to solve today. Like I said.
No,
We just have, it's something we need to consider at the end of the road here.
Yeah.
yes. Okay, does anybody have any other questions about all of this stuff that's going on in buildings and grounds, specifically with this project?
No.
Okay. Great,
Before we move forward,
yes.
Mr. Hazen sent me a message and he wanted me to make a comment on his board report, so can I just?
Okay,
Okay, it's nothing, he just wanted to, you asked about budgeting and funding, and he just said he forgot to mention the support and generosity of his classroom has received from the Arlington Education Foundation. They have supported multiple purchases and assessment equipment and technology, and he just wanted to recognize them and that he was grateful for what they've done.
Perfect. Sounds good.
love the involvement, it's awesome.
There's no action items here, so we will wait for more clarification and more information from buildings and grounds.
So when's your next meeting? When do you decide what that's on?
I need to, well,
Yeah.
the direction that
We need-
we came out with was that we need to do some engagement with Court and Patty, get this out there and start getting the interest of the public, start gauging whether or not this is something we're moving forward with. What's the stomach for the dollar amount, what's the interest level and the different renderings and things like that. So that's what came out of that. That is under the $10,000 budget, the contract that she sent out, but we gotta get cracking on that because we have a very limited time. She's got enough information for me, but again, I haven't seen the actual contract yet. And I did not have any communication with her since the last Friday. She didn't send me anything new today. So that's the next step to really get moving and start trying to feel out that interest, getting social media things ready, website things ready, physical things ready for people to see, QR codes to scan, so she can start gathering that feedback for us.
Okay, agenda item 8, new business, 8.1, discuss, consider, and take necessary action, to release teacher in 2026-2027 contract. Dr. Lewis or
Yes.
Dr. Morgan? whoever
And
wants
so on the last day, 2 possible requests released from a contract, which was April 15th, per our policy, we had a teacher submit a resignation and request to be released from her contract for the 26-27 school year. That letter is on file. It was in, like I said, by the deadline that's indicated in our policy for them to request release. We have the job advertised, we're working on interviews, things like that, getting things set up, so. But statutorily, or, per our policy, it just needs to be approved to be released from her contract.
Got it. Do we see any issues in filling up the elementary position?
Well, there's always issues filling positions this time of year and in this day and age, but we are working on it.
And if we don't, for whatever reason, fill the position, what's the backup plan?
We will get it filled. That is our backup plan. We have, if we don't get it filled in the traditional manner, which is people sending us their information, we are reaching out to universities for recent graduates, student teachers that you can place with someone in the classroom for a semester. You can pay them as a long-term sub. You can then hire them on with full contract at midterm. There's different options for us, thanks to the alternative certificate pathways right now. So that's what we're exploring.
And if she filed before the deadline, even if it's on the last day.
Yeah.
We don't have recourse, do we? If she filed.
We don't have to accept it.
You do,
Well,
because
we
it
don't
was
have to
before April
accept it,
15th. If
but-
it was on April 16th, you do not have to, but up till April 15th, you, by policy, you do have to release her from her contract.
Well, I'll make a motion to release, do I have to say their name or not?
Yeah.
Is it Katie?
Mhm.
Mattson, from the 2026-2027 contract.
Guys, we moved and seconded, thank you, Cass and Shannon. Is there any further discussion? Let's vote.
Steve Slyheads,
Yes.
Shannon Wilmot.
Yes.
Jason Art,
Yes.
Cassie Fleisner,
Yes.
Chase Gradville.
Yes.
Brian Walker.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Agenda item 8.2, discuss and consider required library policy on first reading. Dr. Lewis.
Yes, attached for you is the recommended policy and the statute that now guides that. What this is pertaining to is a library policy, a library system, which contains our listing of books that's accessible by people, like parents that, whose kids go to the district, which we already have. And then also basically the bigger one is the option to request to receive notifications when their children check out books and what those books are. We also have that. So those are the changes to the policy, and that's the statute that's on there. We will adopt it on second reading in June.
I have a related question, especially considering this has been in higher education this week with library books. I asked this question about 2 years ago, I think 3 years ago. While I understand choosing library books is a choice, my question is this, are all the books that we have in our library vetted by an individual, whether that's a librarian or anything, for appropriate content for curriculum or things like that, or are the books vetted, I guess is my question.
Yes, the books are vetted by our librarian, followed by teachers, and also by the pair that's in the library, but we actually pulled a couple off this year that
Okay.
we did not find appropriate. So.
Got it.
And that was, yeah.
So we have a
the
process in
librarian, she
place
runs-
for that?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
So there's no action on that one this month yet. Any other questions about that?
Agenda item 8.3, discuss, consider, and take necessary action to approve high school diplomas for 2026 graduating class. Mr. Kingston.
The list that you'll have in front of you are all of the seniors who have met the graduation requirements. And we just ask that you approve them for graduation. I've got diplomas for president and vice president to sign.
So if you're logged in, you can see a list that is just a generic list, and then one that's got a little more detail. There are a couple of extenuating circumstances around a couple of students that's on that, but they will all be graduating as certificates. So.
I have one question. What's a certificate of attendance?
We have students typically in our transition program, who might be with us, so they're 21. Maybe they haven't met the graduation requirements, but they have met the requirements to go across the stage and be recognized. So yeah. So we have one student this year that would fit that requirement.
Typically, we see them. 21.
Yeah, usually they're in that transition program.
I'll make a motion to approve high school diplomas for 2026 graduating class. Second. Move a second. Thank you, Steve. Any further discussion? Let's go.
Shannon Wilmot.
Yes.
Jason Art,
Yes.
Cassie Fleisner,
Yes.
Chase Gradville.
Yes.
Brian Walker.
Yes.
Steve Slyheads.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Agenda item 8.4, discuss and consider legislated policy updates on first reading. Dr. Lewis.
Yes, so the changed policies are listed there for you. I'm just gonna briefly give a rundown. You can read the memo, the in detail memo, but like the 1100 bulletin boards, that is about basically your associations being able to use the bulletin boards for their advertising purposes. Records management in this position is a lot to do with retention laws, like there's certain records you have to keep for a certain period of time, and now we're definitely shifting to some like digital copies of those things being the legal copies, full and part-time enrollment. This is basically for those stating about they have to be in school for 5 credit hours to be able to participate in some of those other organizations, and it has something to do with like if we talk about FFA and things like that, where there might be national and state activities that fall outside of the scope of those school years and things like that. But just details about the 5 credit hours primarily is what that is. 5505 is residence admission and contracting for educational services. This is the one that basically is being changed if a student or a family are under investigation by DHHS for one reason or another, that those parents or children at that point in time are not able to either file to exempt, which would be to homeschool or to attend like an option school in another district. So occasionally you get a situation where something is happening through DHHS and the family is aggravated with the school, and so their answer is, well, we're just gonna homeschool. You know what I mean? And so if they're under an active investigation, then they're not able to do that. Option enrollment is the policy change would be requiring that siblings of current option enrollments are automatic approvals.
What kind of impact will that have on the spectacles?
At this point in time, I don't know, there's maybe like 3 or 4 students that we did not have capacities for, but we did for their siblings, so that kind of changes that. It could also change things in the, it's really about capacities. It's really about, there's a lot of discussion about how you're going to approve now a school our size, then you're actually looking at, do we have capacity for this entire family rather than do we have capacity for that student at that grade level?
So that's my question. In reading this, if there's a capacity issue, we will then have to prioritize these students over others. Is that correct?
Yes, if they are siblings and their sibling is currently attending.
Yeah.
However, if you get 4 option applications for 4 like at the same time, you then would probably consider that as, do we have capacity for this family before we approve any of them?
And that's my follow-up question then. If there's a capacity issue, just looking at siblings, we will have to, by law, adjust those capacities.
No, you wouldn't adjust capacities, you would just, it's all about what you approve tonight. You would be forced to, because this law usurps capacities. So no, you're not adjusting the capacity. You just can't use capacity as your reason to deny.
Yeah, but I mean, if we're at, take elementary class, take 2 classes, say we're at capacity in 2 of those classes with district kids, and we get 5 applications for siblings, that would put us 5 over those capacities. By law, we would have to create another section due to that capacity, correct? Is that correct?
We don't, if they don't already, you're saying if they already have a sibling who was an option enrollment student?
If they had a sibling, correct, yes. Yeah.
I mean,
We would have to create a new section.
theoretically,
Yeah.
theoretically.
We set our classroom capacities though below where we have our splits. So one student should not, I mean, looking at all of our classes right now, one student would not in any grade put us to another section.
And we haven't
So we
had
have that
enough, other
buffer
than
right
in
now.
kindergarten, we would not have had that number of options.
But what's unique here is currently an option student cannot create a new section.
Correct.
This could change that though. If we
It
have
would,
to
it would
abide
take a
by
lot,
that.
it would be a big swing because we're just not that close to any of our, I mean,
Capacities.
it
But
would,
it just
saying
takes one
potentially.
student, it just takes one student though, that's my point.
yes, it
If
could.
we,
I
if we
mean-
have, yeah, it could just take one.
It could,
Yeah, I mean, looking at our current sections, it would take a lot. I mean,
yes, Jack, I mean, I'm just sitting here thinking, yeah, like
I'm trying to think of any grade.
theoretically, if you were at full capacity in every classroom and you got one in who had a sibling that was in high school and you had to let them in, you could, but then Jackie and I could also make that logical decision and say, okay, we have to do this, but we're not going to do a whole another section.
Right, section. The other piece, like now knowing that and knowing how far we are from capacities, we can say we don't have room for this family, which then wouldn't put us into a
Add
bad.
more elementary section capacities
Mhm.
for like, hey, yep, we're full in 2nd grade. And we know we're not getting any more in-district kids in. And we have a sibling in 2nd grade that we have to option in. We have to, by law, accept that student. So we have to create a 3rd section now just for that one student. So we would adjust. Now, I know we would shift 8 students here, 8 students here, so it evens out, but it creates another section.
It does.
It
Yes.
could in theory, it
Yes.
could in theory.
But what I'm saying is we're so far from that, and now knowing that this is the law, it will impact how we accept any option
Yes.
kids in, so that we're not,
We
we don't put
yeah.
ourselves into that predicament, if that.
We're
makes
Because
sense.
they're
honestly
crowded.
not, yeah, we're
Yes.
honestly not reacting year by year. We're looking way. ahead.
Yeah, and we do have, I mean, we have a lot of room in most of our sections that wouldn't put us to.
Yeah, I just-
Yeah,
And the infinite wisdom of the
answer is-
legislature, they
the real
always
answer is
don't think
yes.
about unintended consequences.
right, oh, of course.
So I'm just wondering,
I thought they were doing a nice thing for families.
The nice thing for us is there are some districts that are probably really panicking right now because they are in that situation because they have been filled so full that they're having that
Yep.
discussion. We are not there in any of our sections to have it be a concern. And now moving forward, knowing that that's what's happening, we can be more intentional about which families.
And we have enough,
because of other
we have enough
capacities.
eyes on option, applications as well too. It's not like only the middle school person is seeing the middle school applications and only the high school person is seeing those. So we do have enough people looking at them, and we're small enough when we get few enough applications that we can see those on that big picture of the K-12 and be like, oh, we really don't have room for that because we're not gonna have capacity at this grade level, so we don't have room for that family, is how we're. So, but yes, they do have infinite wisdom. They are trying to do nice things to make families' lives easier. That was the intent, I believe, behind it, so. Policy 5008, is about student attendance and the requirements, for, excused absences from credentialed healthcare professionals towards the truancy and accumulation, so, that's kind of tracking for the office and for principals and things like that. Policy 5101, this bans or overturns the ban on suspensions in grades K through 2, or added a different level to it, because before, the only reason you could suspend a child in K through 2 is if they brought a weapon to school with them, and now it's if they're exhibiting behavior that it could be harmful to themselves, to teachers, or to other students. So basically, those outbursts, which everybody has been so, I mean, like, really, they're a legitimate concern. You could not suspend a child who was upending classrooms and throwing, tennis balls at his classmates or whatever it is. I don't think that's ever happened. I don't know if we even have tennis balls in our classrooms, but they didn't come with a weapon, so you couldn't suspend. So this changes that behavior a little bit. That's the big change there. 5205 graduation, an exception for students who at some point in time in their high school career were under the supervision of a juvenile court. So that's just something for reminded of that one. I think it has to do that they have to graduate on time, or you have to cooperate with the juvenile system if they're, which we do.
We do
So,
that.
It's just statutory now. If we have students that are in that situation, we work with those places. 8103, annual organizational meeting. So this one, the big change here is that you do not have to advertise every month in your paper, and you don't have to then select or appoint your paper of record. You have to now in your organizational meeting say when you will be, basically, we will be advertising in, or if you're doing it quarterly and you say it's gonna be January and it's gonna be April and it's gonna be July and it's gonna be October or whatever it is. 4 times a year you have to post in your paper. Otherwise, your legal notices can be like your published agenda, things like that, and through the community, like in the post office and the other places where we hang that throughout town, the bank. So that's the change to that. And then again, the change to the Open Meetings Act, that's all in that, if you can believe it. In one of those tiny little pieces of script, it talks about that, how you're giving notice, but also there's some changes here. You do not have to have that open meeting notice posted anymore. So they will, instead of having a large poster for us, they will provide us with a smaller one. That's the 8x14 size poster from NASB, or I'm sorry, for NCSA, which they give us these every year. And then we just have to have it available if somebody asks to see it when they come to our meetings. So those are the updated policies. We'll see them again next month for approval. So if you get to reading them and you have any further questions, about some of the nuances of those or what's actually changed. We can talk about it again in June.
All right. We'll adjourn at 8:59 PM.
Yeah, that's yours.
Yeah.